Hi, and welcome to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation focused on youth mental health. Before we begin today's episode, I just wanted to let you all know that all content that is found in our podcast is created for informational purposes only. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or therapy. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition, and never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard in this podcast. Thank you so much, and without further ado, let's get started.
Hello, and welcome to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast by the Tharika Foundation. I'm your host, Poonam here, and today's episode is all about the power of young people to create meaningful change. We often think impact comes later in life, but today's guest is proof that you can start right where you are. I'm so excited to welcome Anika Warrior, a high school student and a Girl Scouts Gold Award candidate who is leading an incredible initiative to support the mental health of teenage only children. Anika, welcome to the podcast. We are so glad to have you here. Tell us a little more about you. What are you doing currently? And which grade or what is your future looking like? Anything you want to share?
Thank you, Poonam. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so looking forward to this conversation. Hi, everyone. My name is Annika Warrior. I am a junior in high school, and I'm really passionate about mental health. And I've really tried to deepen my interest in it through volunteering with the Tharaka Foundation, editing podcasts on our podcast series, Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving. And I'm also really involved in a lot of service. So I'm actually on my student advisory board for an organization called Dream Volunteers that is a global learning community that organizes service trips to 5 different countries across the world. Additionally, I also love dancing. I do a lot of street jazz, which is like hip hop, and it is just a great way for me to express myself. And today I'll be talking a little bit about my Girl Scout Gold Award, which is to create resources and support for teenage only children and their families as well.
Thank you, Anika. That's impressive. You have so many skills and talents. But tell me what inspired you to begin this journey, the work you're doing today?
Yeah, so I'm an only child myself, so this topic is very personal for me. I was looking for resources for only children. I didn't find a lot, so I decided to be a part of the solution. Only children families are the fastest growing family units in the US, rising from 11% in 1976 to 20 to 22% of households today. So there's a huge number of only children families, and they're becoming a lot more common. And since I didn't really see a lot of resources and support for only children and their families, I wanted to be a part of this initiative and try and make a meaningful impact within my community.
Thank you, Anika. I just wanted to follow up, the topic you chose and you shared some great data, but this topic is not always talked about. So what did you discover? What are some of the challenges families or only children they face when they are, growing up in that kind of family?
Yeah, so I agree. I think it's not a very talked about topic, it's a very niche topic. I think that only children oftentimes face a lot of loneliness. They can feel very isolated from their peers. But at the same time, you can also have only children that are very extroverted, very outgoing, and they might not face some of these challenges. So I wanted to just create some resources and support for them to be able to thrive. So I think one of the things I wanted to talk about was the stereotypes about only children. They are told that they're very independent, they like being alone and things like that. But sometimes it might not feel like it's a very positive thing. They might have a lot of challenges. one of those challenges being the pressure that they might get from their parents, right? A lot of parents put their hopes and dreams on their children, but when there's only one child in the family unit, it can feel very demanding, and a lot of pressure can be felt. The child might experience a lot of pressure. So it's really important to be able to practice self care and mental well being in order to be able to better your mental health. So I think that that's a really huge thing to talk about. Another thing is comparison. You might compare your family to another family. Right now, I think with social media, it's really easy to compare yourself to others, and I think this is a huge topic within the only child that a lot of only children face. So I think comparison and looking at other family units and wondering what it might be like to not have a sibling, or not what it might be like if you had multiple siblings, and you might experience a little bit of FOMO, right? Because you don't really know what it's like to have a built-in support system. So I think these are some of the challenges that I've seen through my research and through some of this discovery that's come with my project.
Thank you, Anika, for sharing that. I'm a mother of two, but I do have friends who have only children. So I do know what you're talking about. And even parents, to be honest, like you talked about fear of missing out. Even parents sometimes they do feel that, they made tough decision for whatever reasons, but they, tell me like, for example, with the first child, we are learning how to parent, right? We do a lot of mistakes on that journey because we even don't know how to parent, right? But when the second one is born, we kind of like now learned and we are seasoned and we can, correct our, whatever upbringing a child or whatever learning we made from the first one. But the parents of only children, they feel they don't have second chance. And that comparison even parents sometimes feel like, what if I had another child, right? So my parenting would have been different, or my first child, or the only children mental health would have been different. So it's like, every family dynamics are different, but what is really powerful is how you have taken something personal and turned into a mission to help others. And you have said that even if 10 teenagers a year feel less lonely because of your work, that's a success. So, how did you shift from having this idea to actually taking action?
Yes. So the biggest shift was kind of letting go that impact has to be huge. I think it's really easy to think that having a big impact on people means reaching thousands of people, but I don't really think that that is the main goal. I think that reaching a couple people but making a deep, meaningful impact is better than reaching thousands of people and not really creating that deep impact. So I really wanted to try and focus on starting off and creating a lot of resources and reaching a good amount of people, and then deepen my impact on my project. And I started asking myself, when I was thinking about ways that I would be able to create resources, what would have helped me when I was younger? What did I need to thrive, and what did I need to succeed? From there, the next steps became a lot more clear. I started creating resources, planning an event, building a platform. Sometimes I feel like action starts from asking the right questions and not being intimidated by the long to-do list.
I agree. That slogan, "No child left behind." I feel you are creating that kind of impact. If even one child heart is impacted because of your work, I think that's a great success. But I also wanted to ask you, this is part of your Girl Scouts Gold Award project, which is very prestigious and impactful. So can you tell us what your project involves and what are you building? You mentioned you are building resources. In addition to that, what are you doing?
Yes. So my Girl Scout Gold Award is about creating lasting change and creating a sustainable impact in my project. So what I'm trying to do is provide resources and support for only children, but I'm trying to make it sustainable so that it keeps going on and people have the access to these resources. I deeply care about turning my project into something that can have real impact beyond this moment. So I think that since my project is centered around supporting teenage only children through awareness, community, and practical resources, I am truly making a difference in helping teenage only children on so many different levels. I've also created different resources that can meet people in different ways. So, some of these are tangible resources like a guided journal to help foster reflection and guide only children through deep breathing exercises and mindfulness, as well as calming them down and allowing them to ground themselves in the present moment. Also, wanted to add another element to that and create a parent guide that can help support only children families and also help parents with understanding some of the challenges that only children may be experiencing. And I kind of created that through some research, taking a lot of information from surveys, and getting a whole holistic view on the main issues that only children face. And then my last kind of aspect to the resources that I'm creating is like an Instagram page with a lot of relatable and encouraging content. And yeah, I also did a in-person panel and workshop event that helped only children feel seen, heard, and it was a great way for other only children families to connect, learn about some of the issues that only children may face. And also, it gave a great platform for allies to kind of be able to be put in the shoes of only children. So, the goal was really to create a support system and conversation around an experience that often goes unspoken, since this is a really niche idea that I feel like is not talked about that much. So, my goal is for other only children to feel more seen and heard.
That's a wonderful goal, Anika. And you mentioned you are creating tangible resources. Can you share more about, you were talking about journal, the parent guide, your Instagram page. So how the journal helps teen process emotions or, this parent guide you're talking about, just to give us glimpse, what parents can expect or, how it's going to help all the resources you mentioned. And even what kind of community are you building up on Instagram page if our listeners they want to go on that page and start following you?
Yes, absolutely. So, this is one of my favorite parts of my project because it makes the support more tangible and it allows only children to really feel seen on so many different levels. So, firstly, the journal is designed for only children. It includes prompts around identity, self confidence, family dynamics, and loneliness. And I wanted it to feel like a safe place for reflection, and I got inspired based off of the 5-minute journals that were really popular on social media, where you would take a couple minutes out of your daily life and you would kind of reflect. I wanted my journal to be very personalized for only children and allow them to get the space that they need to talk about their feelings and feel vulnerable and reflect on some of the stressors that they've had throughout their days and some of the challenges that they have as only children. So I'm very passionate about my journal and very proud of its outcome, and I hope it helps a lot of only children. The parent guide is there to help parents and guardians help understand the emotional experience of being an only child, especially during teenage years. As I mentioned, it has a lot of research, other resources that can help parents better support their only child. And it also talks a little bit about some of the things that only children might be vulnerable with. So they might experience a lot of social exclusion, or they might be very independent. But how do you kind of encourage them to engage with others, be more social, be more outgoing, things like that. My Instagram page helps reach teens in a space that they're already using. It shares relatable content, affirmations, and reminders that different doesn't necessarily mean less. Being an only child doesn't mean being a lonely child necessarily. It essentially means that you have a different story, you have a different perspective, and it's really up to you if you want to share that. So you can definitely view it as a more positive thing rather than surrounding the term with a really negative connotation. And I hope that each resource serves a different purpose, even though they all connect back to the same mission, which is helping only children feel seen and supported.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much, Anika. You're making so much difference in this community. And another question is coming to my mind. A lot of high schoolers may feel they are too young to make a difference or unsure where to begin. So, what would you say to someone your age who wants to create impact but feels stuck?
Yeah, I would say that you do not have to have everything figured out before you begin. I was very passionate about this topic from the very beginning. I just wasn't sure how this would translate since I I knew it was a very niche topic, and I knew that while only children families are on the rise, in my community there aren't a lot of only children. So I really had to think about ways that I would reach this community of only children. So I did face a lot of obstacles along the way, but I was able to bounce back from that, and I was able to create a really great outcome. So, yeah, I think you really don't have to come with a very concrete, solidified plan. You just got to begin. You just got to start with what you have and try and start with whatever you got. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. I'd also say that you have to start with something you deeply care about. It really shines through when you're passionate about something and when you have a strong connection to it. So really figure out what makes you wake up every single morning. I'd also say you want to start with something that you deeply care about and something that you've been thinking about a lot and something that you'd really want to bring a change to. And also remember that age doesn't define you. You shouldn't have to start that project that you've been wanting to start later just because you are in your teenage years. Youth can be a great strength to start one of your passion projects because it can really set you up for success later on if you really spend a lot of time right now figuring out what you're passionate about and really working hard at that. And yeah, I think you really just need to start somewhere, figure out what drives you and what motivates you. Also, I've been amazed at how many people have been so generous and willing to help. As a part of my Gold Award, I need to create a team and get people to help support me. Dr. Lina Kanzode, who is the founder of the Tharaka Foundation, has been very generous in helping me and has helped me come up with different strategies and helped me in so many different ways. I've also had a lot of support from other team members and have been able to lean on them for different things that I need. So it doesn't have to all be on you. So I just say take that step and go out there and make an impact.
Wonderful, Anika. You answered my question. Even I was thinking, who helped you along the way, and you answered you. It was not like only you had a team. And as you said, it's never late. Be passionate about the idea, and age doesn't matter. That's beautiful. But if you could leave listener with one message, especially young people, about turning their own challenges into something positive, like you did, what would that be?
Yeah, so I would say sometimes the parts of your life that feel the hardest or make you feel different can be the exact thing that allows you to help someone else. So using your challenges and using your own vulnerabilities can really help stronger, but it can also help the good of society. So for me, I realized that there weren't a lot of support and resources for only children, and I felt like I wasn't supported in a lot of ways as an only child in terms of having tangible resources and having people talk about their experiences as well to help me feel more validated. So I created my own project. So using some of your challenges and using them to create a project is a great way to be able to make a meaningful impact in your community. Your challenges can also become your purpose, as I mentioned. And the things that you've gone through, your empathy, your perspective, and understanding can also make a huge difference, and they can translate really well into society. And also, you don't have to change thousands of lives for your work to matter. I have been able to reach out to a lot of only children families, and I've reached a lot of people, but I'm not making a global change. I'm starting somewhere. I'm making a small step within society to better the good of society. So, changing even one life matters. So, go out there and make some change, whether it's picking up a piece of trash, picking up a pile of trash on a beach, helping helping children at a local elementary school with math, doing any sort of service related activity really strengthens the good of society. Making a small impact can have a big meaningful impact on the rest of society. So I encourage everyone to go out there and make some good change.
Thank you, Anika. This has been such an inspiring conversation, and your work is a reminder that you don't have to wait to make a difference. Your personal experiences can become your purpose, and even small efforts can create real change. We are so proud to have you as part of this community. To everyone listening, especially young people, take a moment to reflect. What is one challenge you have faced that could help someone else? Like Anika gave many examples. What is one small step you can take this week? You don't need to have everything figured out, just begin. Thank you for joining us on Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving. If this episode's inspired you, please share it with someone who might need it. Until next time, stay mindful, stay beautiful, and keep thriving. Thank you so much, Anika, for sharing your personal journey, inspiring all of us, and making an impact in our community. Very grateful to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Poonam.
You are listening to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation. As part of our youth series, we will be releasing new episodes every month, so make sure to continue to check those out. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we thank you so much for listening.